Hello, welcome to Take 10 on Tuesdays with the Tennessee Tribune. I'm Sandra Long-Weaver. I'm the editorial director for the Tribune. And today our guest is Courtney A. Teasley, who is an attorney in Nashville. And Courtney has put together a list of knowing your rights. And so we're going to talk about what are your rights. But let's get a little background from you, Courtney, on how you became an attorney, and your specialty, I understand, is Veterans Medical Affairs. Is that correct?
Yes, I specialize in veterans benefits appeals and also veterans medical malpractice. But I also do criminal and civil law. Initially, I did not want to do criminal law, but then once I got into it, I just felt a deep need to do it. I felt that it was my duty because there's so much injustice going on, and
injustice going on against with victims.
Injustice going on, in my opinion, with a lot of people, but predominantly black people, and with having issues with them just getting fair shots at the system. So in the system, you know, a lot of black people are underprivileged and don't have the money to be able to fight their case on the outside. And you know, that whole innocent until proven guilty kind of goes away when you have to sit in jail and fight your case from in jail because you don't have the money to make bond. Right. But you're innocent though. But now you've done a year and you want to get out, and so you took a plea deal. Even though you might be innocent, but you can't afford to get out, so I'm going to go ahead and take this plea deal. So that's pretty much, I just hated how the system kind of is, and if you don't have the money, then you're not able to exactly do what you want to do. So that's why I kind of made criminal law one of my babies.
Well, it sounds like it's a good thing. And so you've put together a basic sort of, this is what you need to know. Yes. So let's talk about, you start out, there are 3 types of police encounters. Exactly. What are those?
You got your arrest, you got your brief investigatory detention, and then you have your consensual encounter.
Okay, now let's describe. Arrest is you're being handcuffed.
Exactly. We'll start from the back end. Okay. I kind of got this together in lieu of Ferguson, and in general, I have been wanting. I have a Instagram, and it's at C Teasley Law, and basically on there, I kind of try to update people on what their rights are, especially young people, and they're usually the ones who are being arrested and being pulled over, and they don't normally know their rights. But when Ferguson happened,
and Ferguson is when Michael Brown,
was shot down. Yes, when he had his hands up, and when he was shot down, and I saw a lot of people who were actually protesting, you know, getting out there. They're looting, they're angry, they're mad. They don't know what other avenue to go to. You know, they don't know what to do. It's like, I'm not being heard here. So I said, you know what? I've been doing this on my Instagram, but now what I want to do is, and people are asking me to come speak. And I said, well, I kind of want to educate people on their rights. I want to educate our people on what their rights are when you do encounter a police officer, what you have to do, what you don't have to do. And so starting with the police encounter,
the brief consensual
police encounter.
Yeah, what does that mean?
That's like you're just on the street. You're walking, or you at your house, and they knock on the door, and that's a brief encounter. That is a brief encounter. They come to you and say, hey, what's going on here? You know, I just want to talk to you about such this and that. That's a brief encounter. You can decide, I don't want to have this conversation. I don't want to do this. I don't want to talk to you. You do not have any right. You don't. There's nothing in the law that says you have to speak to the police. So you have the ability to say, "Hey, I don't want to have this conversation. Have a good day." They may keep pressing. But you are not under arrest. You are not being detained. You don't have to have that encounter. Point blank, period.
So you can just say, have a good day, and walk away.
Exactly. But you have to be persistent in it. Because a lot of people say, Courtney, well, it's good you come out here and you tell us all this stuff. But that's not how it really works in the streets. They come up to me and talk to me, and I feel like I can't leave. You know? And then when you feel like you can't leave, then that is a seizure. If you feel like you cannot leave from that place, that is a seizure. And I wrote it on my the handouts. One of the things I spoke over the seizures, and you know, words used by the officer. Do they have their hand on their weapon? Are there more than one officer? the tone of voice. You know, a lot of those things can constitute a seizure. You didn't even know you were seized,
right?
You know, but you felt like you couldn't leave. So then at that time, you're wondering, okay, hold on, am I free to leave?
Right.
And that is what you ask. Am I free to leave? Until they give you a response. And then, you know, they may try to ask you about, am I free to leave?
And you keep insist
that they give.
Be insistent and
exactly. Give me an answer. Am I free to leave? I wouldn't answer anything else. Am I free to leave? They tell you, no, I'm not. You're not free to leave. So, am I being detained? And then they go to the brief investigatory detention.
Okay.
So now they're asking you questions about something, and you're being detained. Okay. Well.
So if I'm being detained, am I handcuffed or how?
Sometimes you can be. Sometimes you are. Sometimes the police will handcuff you, and they say it's for their safety, and that does not necessarily mean you're under arrest at that time. But again, you have no obligation to speak to them. You have no obligation to talk or answer any questions. If you're
they have to be clear that you're just being detained, not arrested.
Yes, you're being detained, and sometimes
do they read you Miranda rights if you're being detained?
Sometimes, if you're arrested, that's when it triggers the Miranda rights to come in, but
not necessarily for detention.
Exactly, not necessarily. And somebody can be detained. You're detained when you get pulled over. You ran a red light and you got pulled over. Well, you're being detained now. Okay, because you ran a red light. You did something. They can pull you over, and you know you're being detained. They're going to give you a citation and let you go on about your way. But this is usually when the issues come in of what is going on here. Am I being detained or am I arrested? This is when the issues come when you get pulled over, and you're like, hey, what do I do now? You know, the officer's saying, well, can you step out the car? You're like, oh gosh, I just ran a red light. What am I stepping out the car for? But you do have to step out the car.
Oh, you do?
Yes. And that is for the officer's safety.
I see.
Okay. So you step out the car and you can close your car behind you. Not even when I spoke at TSU, Omega Psi Phi had me come out and kind of speak to the students about knowing their rights. This very thing I gave out as well. You are able to. They were asking me, can I lock my door behind me? Sure, you can.
Oh, you can.
Get out of your car, close that door, and lock the door.
Okay.
You don't have to let them go in your car now. I'm outside of the door. I'm outside. And then this is usually where they'll try to ask questions, and they're trying to, well, you know, do you know anything? You know anybody around doing this? Or do you have anything in the car I need to know about? No, I don't have anything. Can I search your car? No.
No.
Well, if you don't
have the right to do that.
Well, if you don't have anything in your car, why can't I search it?
Because
I don't want you to search my car.
Right. Okay.
You don't need to give a reason.
Business.
Exactly. You don't have to give a reason. A lot of times the police make you feel as if you have to explain yourself. And you don't have to explain yourself. I don't have to tell you anything. You pulled me over for running a red light. Give me a ticket for running the red light. I don't want to talk about anything else.
Okay. So can I say that to the officer? Just go ahead and give me the ticket? Or is that considered being belligerent? Or is that uncooperative? How is that?
No, sir. You can. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
You can expressly assert your rights and still be cooperative.
Oh, you can.
You can. And I explain this to people all the time, because just because you say no doesn't mean you're not being cooperative.
Oh, it doesn't.
You know?
Okay.
You have a right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures. You have a right to be free from searches and seizures in your home, in your car, in your place of business. You have a right to be free from these things. And just because you say no does not make you uncooperative, or you're not doing what exactly you're not helping the police along. No.
But now if the police had a warrant, you cannot say no to that. If
they have a warrant and they bring you the warrant and it's a valid warrant, you have to let them in. And but it takes a lot for them to get their warrant. They have to show probable cause.
Right.
They have to have a judge sign it. And then even after that, sometimes when they do have those warrants, they give you a copy of it, you take it to your attorney can find problems in that, and then that's a basis for fighting that warrant. So just because the warrant means they had to jump through some hoops and leap through some bounds and things of that nature, and they had to show probable cause that they could go in your house. Sometimes they have warrants. Usually they don't.
Okay.
Usually they don't.
Usually they don't.
Usually they bet on you being so cooperative and so helpful that you just say, come on in my house.
So they bet on you not knowing your rights.
Exactly.
And going along with whatever they say because they're
the police.
They're the police.
They're here to help you.
That's right. They're protect and serve.
Exactly. And I'm not saying that all of them are not. But I am saying that there are some that sometimes get a little hazed by the accolades they get when they bring in all these drugs and by all of these recognition that they get when they are bringing down crime and stuff. Sometimes they get a little hazed and get off track, and maybe they don't do everything that they're supposed to do. And so since they don't, you can't trust them to know their rights, because they'll tell you, I don't have to tell you what your rights are.
Right.
It's up to you to know what your rights are.
It's up to us as individuals
it is
to know
up
our
to
rights.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And so again, with that brief investigatory detention, that's where we were. You basically are being detained. You get out the car. They can detain you for a while. They can't detain you for a long while. They can detain you for. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, what is a while?
Well,
is that 5 minutes? Is it 30 minutes?
Just enough to determine whether or not there's reasonable suspicion to move forward.
Okay.
Or if there's probable cause to arrest you.
So that's a gray area.
Exactly. And the Supreme Court has ruled different things, but you have to, usually your attorney will look into that. How long did they hold you? Was that reasonable to hold you that long, or was that time unreasonable? And that's things your attorney will look into. But what you want to be sure, and what I tell people is, we have all these beautiful smartphones.
Right.
And a lot of times in Tennessee, well, I know definitely here in Metro-Nashville, we do not always have officers that have cameras on their phone, on their cars or their persons. So when there's a dispute, why don't you, or before there's anything, take your nice, wonderful phone, and when you're being pulled over, press record.
Oh, and just record the encounter.
Yeah, you don't have to be doing it in front of them. Just sit it down. Let it catch what it catches.
Okay.
Because a lot of times that is the subject of what we're disputing. We're saying that I didn't do this. You gave me consent. You did that. Well, guess what? I have a recording. Right. So that would save a lot of frustration and whatnot.
Then the next thing is the arrest.
The arrest.
So you're being arrested. So you're handcuffed or placed in the back of the police car.
They've decided that they found probable cause.
Okay. And
they are going to arrest you now. And a lot of people don't know you're arrested when you receive a citation.
Oh.
If it's a misdemeanor and they have an obligation to cite and release you, they have to give you a citation for things that are misdemeanor and are not likely to go on.
I see.
So they have to cite and release you. And you sign and you get to book yourself later.
Okay.
That still is an arrest.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that's not always putting your hands behind your back and whatnot. But yeah, you do get arrested, and again, they had to have probable cause to arrest you. A lot of times, that probable cause that they have is because you gave it to them. And when I say you, I'm speaking of the general public. You gave them consent to search your car.
Right.
You told them some information or something. I got this in the back of my car, and you're thinking, well, if I go ahead and tell them, it's not going to be that bad, or maybe they won't take me to jail. Yes, they will. They're still going to take you to jail. They're still going to do it,
right.
And so a lot of times people mess themselves up by talking so much. They're thinking that's going to help them get them out of trouble, but it's not. The best thing is just to close your mouth. Close your mouth and just move on with it. If they pull you out the car and they say, well, you're not, I just need to ask you a couple of questions. I don't want to speak on anything else that is not relevant to this stop.
Right.
You stopped me for running a stop sign. You said you stopped me because I was speeding. You said you stopped me because I did this. I don't want to talk about anything else. And they're going to
just whatever happened in that moment.
Exactly.
At that time.
Yeah. And they're going to bring up your background. Oh, I saw in the background, I saw that you have a felony. That's not relevant to this.
Right.
I don't want to speak about that. I don't want to speak about that.
So you have the right to say that. I don't want to talk about that.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what that's your right, and you shouldn't have to say I want to call my attorney.
Right. And I was about to ask you. So when do you say I want to call my attorney? At what point? Well, when you're being detained, when you're being placed into the police car, or if you're being cited, or where?
Well, a lot of my clients want to call me when they're being pulled over.
Okay.
And the cop is asking, can I search the car? They want to call me first and say, can they search my car? No. And of course, they never want you to call your lawyer, because your lawyer's going to say, no, you can't search that car. You got to know that yourself, because a lot of times they're kind of on, you can't use your phone saying things of that nature, which you can. But, you need to know that yourself. At that point in time, when you have not been arrested, there's no right to an attorney right then.
Okay.
You know, there's no right to have one at that moment. But, you know, sometimes you forgot your rights and you want to check with your lawyer, but you should know them. You should know that I can tell them, no, I don't want you in my car. You have to know that. When you are arrested, after you've been arrested, you're taken down, and now they want to talk to you. They read you your Miranda rights, and they're speaking with you, and they want to question you. You know, and that's a trigger. When they read you your Miranda rights, then they want you to say something again. That's a trigger. Because
that's when you say, I'm calling my attorney.
Yeah, I want to speak. I don't want to make any statements without my attorney present.
Right.
Because after they read you your Miranda rights, anything you say is going to be
on the
admissible.
record.
Exactly. And so you definitely just want to say, hey, I want to speak to my attorney. I'm not speaking until my attorney is here.
Okay.
I have nothing to say.
All right. Well, Courtney Teasley, this has been very helpful, very useful. So now you say you go out and speak to groups. So you talk to students at the local colleges.
I do.
And who else are you talking to? Who else is? Are older adults aware of their rights, or are they asking also, what are my rights?
Well, I go to Beach Creek Missionary Baptist Church, and we had an event. I spoke there, and there are older people who want to know their rights, and it's crazy how many people don't know what their rights are. You don't know that I have that right to say, no, I don't want to talk to you. I have that right to say, no, don't go in my car. No, don't do this, because we've been trained that if you say no, then it looks like you're guilty.
Right. It does.
That's what, you know, and they're like, oh, that's the inference. That's the inference. No. That is what they want you to think, that you're guilty if you say no, but what you're doing is protecting yourself.
Right.
You are asserting your right to be free from any seizure, any search, anything. I don't want to talk to you, and nor do I have to. And so I've been speaking at TSU, and I spoke at TSU, and I've spoke with the high school students. I volunteer at Stratford High School, and I speak with them on a regular basis because I know those are the ones who are usually becoming are coming into contact with the police a lot.
The high school students.
The high school
as
and
they become
college.
drivers, and then the college students.
And then trying to kind of make them aware of what their rights are, what you can say, what you cannot say, what you have to do. Like a lot of people didn't know that they have to get out the car. You do. It's for the officer's safety.
Okay.
You know, but you don't have to talk about anything. You don't have to let them go in your car. But I spoke there, and then I had I did my church, and I had another church reach out to me who wanted me to come and speak to them, because there is a population of people who just didn't know.
Right. Exactly.
They didn't know, but I've primarily been at the colleges and high schools because in lieu of Ferguson, it's such a hot topic right now, what to do when you come in contact with the police.
And how can our viewers find out about their rights? If you're not available and speaking to a large group, where is this available on your website?
I always tell people to go to Instagram, and that's the new population, that's the new younger crowd, but go to Instagram at Teasley Law. But I am also going to make my little pamphlet available on my website, www.cteasleylaw.com, for people who have questions and people who are wondering what to do. If you turn on the back there, I just always list a couple of important things. Remember, you don't lose your rights because you're on probation. Your right to privacy is increased in your home. You can cooperate and still not give up your rights. And asserting your rights does not equal disrespect. It does not equal disrespect. And then I always add, put your lawyer on speed dial. So, that's my favorite one. Put your lawyer on speed dial, and turn on that voice record on your phone. Turn it on and lay it down.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again. We've been speaking with Courtney Teasley, who is an attorney here in Nashville. Thank you for joining us, and thank you, Courtney, for enlightening our audience. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.